welcome to another episode of Trigger Point Research Setups. Now today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to introduce to you something that I think that you need to see. It's available on the TradeStation Strategy Network. And what this is an algorithm that basically utilizes many of the techniques that we've talked about in this video series. And I thought that what we do is look at this on a stock like Tesla and just give you a little bit of flavor, a little bit of insight as to what this does. Because essentially what this is a smart indicator. It's an algorithm that's based on a formula that looks at various important and key support and resistance areas. And from there what it does is it outputs basically signals so that you can see exactly visually where to enter, exit, short, long, etc. Gives you a really good roadmap or a flight plan to where you should be going with a position. Now I chose Tesla because I wanted to show something that has some volatility and can really explain a little bit more about this. Now traditionally you look at a chart. Now if you look at a chart which just looks something like this, where you have simply a bunch of candlesticks that are showing us, well, that it moved up and it moved down. Well, we can spice it up a little bit and put some colors on there, of course. And when we look at the colors, we can see when the days were up or when they were down. We could take a look at the overall trend, and clearly we see what's happening there. But what I thought we would do is take a look at some of the tools we've used before. And again, we'll just start with the daily for a second, and we'll put on some tools. So we talked about the basic radar, where it shows you very clearly where the important areas are. For example, when we look at this, we could see that there is a very clear zone, an area here, which is about 110 to 120, let's call it, about maybe even 105. That really doesn't have a lot of significance when it comes to any kind of volume that was played there. The yellow lines that we see here also have the ability to show us the actual, I guess we would call it, the most powerful points of support. See all those? Now, that's great. So we have to look at this and say, okay, well, we know that, oh, there's some area here, there's some area here, and then we can look at that for a downside if it pops above our area here. But what we did from there is we actually went one step further. And we have from here what we would show as a very simple way of looking at those particular zones we talked about, but the most opportunistic areas to either enter or a trade on the long side, or maybe even move to the short side, or just totally exit. We can see that, for example, when we look over in the June area, and we see that all across here from about May 28th through July, the beginning of July, there was a significant amount of support. Right? Did you see this right here? That support that was right there. And the support was about $95. It couldn't break through that support. And when it finally broke up, there was obviously nothing left to really resist because it was an all-time high. And then it became choppy into middle of July. Now, in July, there was a brand new altimeter. And we consider this, if you want to really think about this, I want you to think about this as the lowest area is the landing area, and the top area is the takeoff zone. So think about that in airline terms. And what we have here is that we can see that when it moves above the level of 123.46, that there was the potential for this to break out with no resistance. And if it broke down below 123.46, there was a downside that could be looked at to 114.15 and possibly even lower to the last time we saw that there was an altimeter that was being drawn. So we had a variety of different support levels. Let's clean this up a little bit. And now look, well, so we have that. Where do we go next? And very quickly, we'll take this all off, and now we're going to show you the AutoPilot. Now, AutoPilot essentially gives you a very clear and concise look, color-coded, about when the buy entry comes or when the sell entry comes. Now, you may not be able to see all this, but there are what we call profit watch zones, and there are stop zones in here so that you make sure that obviously you're not hit. And we have different color coding, and you can find all this out on the TradeStation Strategy Network. There are free trials for this. But I want to show you something really interesting. Let's get back to a 30-minute chart. If you're a trader and you really want to have some exits and entrances that are really the areas that you can move in and out of very quickly. What this does for you, it shows you, and each of these is a 30-minute bar, where to actually enter and exit. Now look, there was not that many short opportunities, but the short opportunity you did have over time, when you look at this on the 30-minute, then you look at the 60-minute, there was some great short opportunities back on 7:15. You see that there was a clear exit, which is orange, of the long that we had going back to 7:11 right here. Okay, you kind of go up here and through 125, and then it was a big reversal. And then you saw that there was another signal, which was a sell signal. This is the warning in the yellow, went into a sell. And then right on 7:17, where it based out, there was a warning and a confirmation to exit the short position. So you would have made about from $131 down to about $110, which are some of the areas we talked about before. And then you got a buy signal at about 115, would have closed at about 120. Another buy signal at 120 that moved up, and you were in and out a couple of times. And now we have another sell signal that's on the 60-minute. Moving forward along, when you look at the various levels, we have now looking at this. Okay, we have the 240-minute, which again is giving you the daily. Excuse me, the 240-minute. And then you have, this is what I want to show you here, the weekly, which is giving you the longer-term view of this. So this is called AutoPilot. It's available at the TradeStation Strategy Network. And again, the big thing that I want to show you is that we are getting a short signal here on Tesla. Where the next level lies is somewhere probably in the area of about, I would say, that's your support, 125 right here. And that can be confirmed, I'm sure, with our altimeter. It's right about here. You go back and you can see that 125 is some consistent support over time moving backward. But really, you would look for a breakdown of 129 and then move down to 127. But there's not much anywhere in here for support. Possibly the only thing you can see is about 127. So if you're a short-term trader, there is the potential to use this, the AutoPilot, as a great tool for signals for trading. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.